Track alternatives are one of the flagship features in the new 10.3 update. Now, they allow the user to switch the contents of one or more tracks to an alternative version, hiding the previous content. Let me describe to you what they do, and then we'll look at how all the controls work. Now, the idea with track alternatives is that they only apply to regions on the track. And those can be MIDI regions, audio regions, they can be folders or even take folders, but it doesn't affect the track's channel strip settings or even channel strip automation. So it's kind of like playlists where we can get alternate versions of whatever regions or folders show up on the track. Now you can create and edit track alternatives and switch between them. And each alternative can contain different regions or edited versions of the same regions, again, while sharing the same channel strip and plugins. So again, think of them like playlists for individual tracks. Now, one track alternative, which is the visible one when we're only viewing one at a time, is always active, and that's the one that plays when you play the project. Each track alternative has a unique name. By default, they're named alphabetically A, B, C, D, etc., but of course they can be renamed. And you can also use track alternatives to create comps by copying regions or selections from different track alternatives into a new empty track alternative. And you can even unpack takes from a take folder to a track alternative or to new track alternatives. So let's look at how they all work. To show track alternatives, there's one of two ways we can do it. We can go under the track menu here and go show track alternatives, and you'll see that this new menu item becomes visible on each track. And I'm just going to hide it for the moment. The other way is in the configure track header dialog box. I'm going to hit Option T to open it, which is the default key command for this track header configuration window. And here we have track alternatives, and that'll turn it on as well, and you see the same thing. Now we have a menu when we click here. Let's go ahead and create a new alternative, and we see the original alternative is hidden, and this is the current one that has no region on it. If I click here, we'll see that I can revert back to the previous alternative. And one other thing to be aware of in terms of viewing the track alternatives, that the icon is always shown if a track already has alternatives on it, regardless of the configuration in the track header or in the menu here. So for example, if I hide track alternatives, we're still going to see it on this track because this one contains alternatives versus these that don't. Okay, so as we've seen with new, the current content of the track is moved to an alternative and made inactive, meaning invisible and inaudible. Now we also have duplicate, and this does the same as new, but it copies the current track contents to the new alternative so that you can do edits on the content while still being able to switch back to the unedited version at any time. So I'm going to duplicate this, and it looks the same, but it's a different version. We have C here. So let's go ahead and listen to A for a moment. So I'm going to switch to this duplicate version. Maybe I want to edit some of the notes out. I'm going to take some of these out. Switch back to A, and there's my original version. So it's a really elegant, simple use to just be able to duplicate and try different edits and easily switch back and forth between different edits. Much easier than working with take folders for this type of thing. Now we have the rename option next, and maybe I'll rename this one. And that'll, of course, change the name. There's the new name instead of C. I'm going to go back to my original. And another one we have here is rename by region. So let me just select this region, and this one will now be named Rhodes Improv Line versus Improv Line Edited. I'm going to go to this one, which is empty, and maybe record a new part. So there's that one, and I've got that one unnamed now. I'm going to name that one by the region as well. And there I've got my 3 different versions. And now maybe I want to go to this one, and maybe I want to duplicate this. And now I can edit this one. Let's go in here. Let's do some simple edits. Maybe I'll change a couple of notes. So there's an edited version of that one. So you can see that this opens up a lot of creative freedom in terms of experimenting with different edits and different versions of the same or similar parts. Let me just do a bit of cleanup here. Maybe I'll rename this one. And then I'll switch to this one, which I edited, and I'll rename this one. something like that, so I can really have descriptive names and keep track of what I want. Now, we also have a function for deleting inactive ones, and this will delete all the currently inactive track alternatives, including their contents. So let's say I decide that this is the one I like and I want to keep, and I don't really need to bother with the other ones. I can go delete inactive, and the menu item is gone now because we're not showing the track alternatives. There's no alternatives existing now, and that's the one that I'm left with. Let me hit Command Z to undo, and there we're back to what we had before. Now, so far, the way we've been working is that initially, after creating track alternatives, we can see and work with only one at a time. Now, to have an overview of all the currently existing track alternatives, including the possibility to listen to them without activating them and to create edits on them, we use the Show Inactive menu entry. So let's click here, and we'll now see all the inactive alternatives below the active one with a special track header with special unique functions. So I'm going to end off here, and in the next video, we'll continue and we'll look at working with the multiple alternatives together.